Welcome everybody to Tinos time. And it's that time of the month again. It's time for your boy Tino and Rocco to give you an MLB update and everything that's went down in the MLB during the month of June. It's been a crazy month. We've seen new rules. We've seen players get suspended. We've seen gloves get put into garbage bags. We've seen teams fallen and risen. We've seen rookies come out of nowhere and hit their first major league home run. So let's not waste any time and let's get right into the headlines. What happened to Hector Santiago during the White Sox game with the Seattle Mariners versus the Chicago White Sox? He got his glove taken away, and he has ended up being suspended for 10 days, or 10 games. We'll get into that a little bit later. There are so many crazy things, like I said, that have been going on in June. But the first thing I want to talk about is these injuries, people. These injuries are crazy. I mean, I could go on a list, and I'm going to give you a list again like I did last month. But this list just keeps getting longer and longer. Like, what do you think, Rocco, about this? We see Steven Strasburg, Mitch Garver, Madison Bumgarner, Victor Reyes, all these guys. There are so many of them. John Means. We've seen guys like the White Sox. Nick Madrigal tore his hamstring, and we saw half of our relief pitchers go on the DL. There's so many injuries. How do you feel about all these injuries going on, Rocco? Like, what do you think it is? Do you think it's the training staff? What do you feel like will help? Or
I feel like players they're still used to the 60-game season, and they think they can do everything without it's a half season. And also, I think trainers have to get back into that too. They're still used to all that 60-day season.
I mean, yeah, because the biggest names are going down to the point like Corey Dickerson, Adam Eaton. I mean, we could say Adam Eaton isn't that big of a player, but
He's not a big man.
He's not, but we could say whatever. But it's just ridiculous. There's been so many injuries. What about the Cubs? They lost Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo to a back injury. They've lost so many guys and just so many injuries. It seems like everybody's going on the DL every day, and it is just nonstop. Asadius Mondesi, is that how you say his name?
Yeah, Alberto Mondesi.
Oh, Alberto Mondesi. My bad. He's fixing it. He was talking about before we started recording about being the host. What do you guys think? Do you think Rocco should be the host of Tino's time now? I don't think so. I think I do a pretty good job. But, what do you guys think? Rocco, do you really want to take over? You think you can handle all of this?
No, I don't want to take over your job.
Why not?
Because I can't sit here
Come on.
3 hours a day and do this.
Come on, what? What's wrong with that? What were some of the other big name injuries that we were talking about? You were talking about Ryan Tepera. What were others?
Ryan Tepera.
I can't announce some of these guys.
Who else? Blake Snell, Steven Strasburg.
Yeah, I mentioned Strasburg. There is just so many injuries. It is just crazy, and this is just in the month of June. This is there's been so many guys, it's the end of the month and people are coming back, but we are less than, 5 or 6 weeks away from the trade deadline? Yeah, we're 5 weeks away from the trade deadline, and there's so many injuries to the point where there's so many teams that need to upgrade because they don't know where they're going to go. So after we talked about the injuries, let's go in. So I was just talking about it. Teams that are doing good and let's talk about teams that are having a really good June, and let's talk about teams that might be on their way to being buyers at the trade deadline. And I don't know, before I even mentioned it, I didn't mention it earlier. You guys might think, why am I in a different place? Why aren't I in my usual place? I'm at Rocco's house. I decided to come over and visit my cousin and hang out. So Rocco, you having fun? Am I entertaining you?
He's leaving me early, I'm sad.
Guys, I got stuff to do, you know what? But Rocco, that's not about that. Let's get into the teams that are having a really good June.
He has nothing to do.
Yeah, I have nothing to do. Well, guy, come on, let's stop talking about that. Let's talk about teams that are doing a really, really good job in June. The Red Sox right now are 17-10. The Houston Astros are 19-9. They have scored 100+ runs in the run differential when they went on that 10+ game winning streak. They beat this shit out of the Sox. They beat the crap out of all of these teams, and they just were destroying it. Right now, they are 48-33. They have a win percentage of .593, and they were just on top of the AL West right now. And Rocco, how do you feel about the Astros? Do you think they're going to keep it up, or do you think it's the trash cans? Because I was thinking about it when we were talking about it.
We got swept at Austin. Trash cans.
I mean, let's be real.
I don't know.
And I mean, another team that it kind of is sneaky, the Sox also just faced them. It was the Seattle Mariners. They actually put up a fight, but again, we'll talk about it with Hector Santiago in a minute. And why don't we just do that now? During the Sox game, was it Saturday that it was? It was during the doubleheader, right? Yeah, it was Saturday during the doubleheader. They ended up, Hector Santiago took off his hat and took off his glove because they made the new rule that the pitchers have to take off the hat and take off the glove while they are in between innings to make sure none of the pine tar. Because if you guys don't remember, when the pine tar incident happened with the White Sox in St. Louis, was it Jack Flaherty, I think it was?
No, it was a reliever pitcher.
Oh, okay, it was a reliever. But that was the incident that started it, and now they made a new rule where if they find any type of foreign substance on the thing, you get a 10-game suspension. And that's exactly what happened with Hector Santiago. They were feeling in his glove. They didn't know what exactly it was, and the manager for the Mariners got mad. Hector Santiago got mad and was crying about it, but it's like, this is the rule now, and if players don't want to follow it, it's just, I don't know. It's been a really big thing, and you know, we were watching it on the White Sox post-game show. Josh Donaldson came out, and he's been making comments. Him and Lucas Giolito going back and forth, and it just, I don't know. What do you feel about this and this whole situation with the pine tar? And do you think it's fair that Hector Santiago got suspended for 10 games? Because it's like, you know, yeah, it's like it's helping. Like, what do you feel? Because we've seen today, it feels like we're watching football games. Their scores are 9, 7, 6, 13, 20. I mean, what team was it that you said scored 20 points today?
The Braves. The Braves just went crazy on
the Braves. Well, they beat the Mets. I think it was the Mets. You said, right? It was the Mets.
Yes.
They won 20-2. It's just like, it's crazy. So how do you feel about this? And do you think like it's better for the game of baseball? Because you're a kid and you're watching it now, and you know this is something that is just coming up, and at least that I've heard of. And like, how do you feel as like a baseball fan with all this?
First off, Hector Santiago had sweat and rosin on him, which rosin they give MLB players, and sweat. Like, you can't stop that. So how people were saying, and pitchers were getting mad about this, and managers, how was that legal or illegal?
Well, exactly, and that's just the thing. Like, it just seems like pitchers are getting mad, and it seems like a lot more pitchers seem to be getting hurt now with this new rule. Have you noticed that? I don't know if you noticed that the last week.
Yes, because 95% of the pitchers were probably using it until this rule.
Well, yeah, and that would probably explain why
Trevor Bauer came out and said about the rosin and sweat.
Trevor Bauer is screwed. That was I didn't even want to mention all of that because I don't know how far that's gonna go. But Trevor Bauer is screwed.
I love his vlogs, but
yeah, I don't know how well that's gonna go. But if that whole incident is true about Trevor Bauer, I'm not gonna mention that. I don't want to go into all that. But go check out on Trevor Bauer and his whole incident. He might not. I don't know if he might play baseball again because that is just
Well,
but
$102 million contract.
I mean, yeah. I mean, hey, these guys with their money nowadays, whatever it takes, right? But can we get back to the teams that are actually doing good in June? We got a little bit off track, but that is a very important situation that's going on in the major leagues, and I wanted to mention it because it's something that is going to continue throughout this season, and it's going to go on throughout the years, and let's see what happens because, we were talking about in the car when we were driving with your dad, he made a good point. They should not have been able to add the rule until the end of the season. There's no reason that the commissioner of the MLB should have been able to make a rule in the middle of the season. I think it should have just been able to wait and then started it next year because then at least everybody would be able to figure out a way to not use it. but that's just me. So now in the National League, some teams that are doing good, the Washington Nationals are making some type of run. They're 19-9, and that is a big reason because Kyle Schwarber is on fire, people. He is hitting home runs at a disgusting rate. He hit home runs on June 12th. He hit 2 on June 13th. He hit another one June 14th, 2 on June 19th, 3 on June 20th, one more on June 23rd, 2 more on June 24th, 1 on June 25th, 2 more on June 28th, and 1 more on June 29th. He's hit so many home runs, it's disgusting, people. But Shohei Ohtani is leading the MLBs right now with 28 bombs. But Kyle Schwarber, he is somebody that, we'll be talking about a team in disappointments. We'll be talking about the team that got rid of him. And, this is something that they could really use right now because he is on a disgusting tear right now. Do you think he can keep this up and be the player? And do you think he could lead the Nationals and they could... I heard something. Do you think the Nationals could make a run like they did when they won the World Series with right now how they're doing?
No, I don't think that. But also, Trey Turner to hit for the cycle, he's tied for the most.
Wasn't it his birthday today?
Yeah, it's
also
his birthday too.
That's awesome.
Cycle 3, I think he leads the history in most cycles in a career.
That's awesome.
And he's 25?
Yeah, he's so young. He's been in the league for so long now too, to the point where it's and it's so crazy because these guys are so they just start so young now. It's crazy. I could not imagine being 19, being in the major leagues. But another team in the National League that's been doing really, really good, it's the Milwaukee Brewers. They have taken the biggest lead in the division at 6 games over the Chicago Cubs after going 19-8 in June and having a record of 48-33. They are doing so good. And I don't know if anybody saw today, the Cubs went up 7-0 in the first inning, but the Brewers didn't let that stop them because they came back. They got a touchdown. They got 7 runs. And then they came back and got another touchdown, and it was 7-14. And then they decided to add on one more, and it was 15-7. That game turned around so fast. And, this is something I mentioned. Well, I'll just mention it real quick, but I don't want to. I'll wait till we get to the disappointment. Let's continue on the teams that are doing good. The San Francisco Giants, where did they come from? I don't know. I think they're for real. It's almost the end of July. We talked about this when we did the April and May recap, and we talked about the Giants being for real. They are for real, man. They have 50 wins?
I think 51.
Do they have 51 now? 51-29? That's crazy.
They are a non-contender. 4th place or 5th place. What was it?
Awful. They were awful.
Next year, 1st place, best team in baseball.
How? I don't even know how that happens, and they're getting great production from guys that I just feel like
Brandon. I don't know how old Brandon Crawford is, but
Brandon Crawford, yes, he's been around for a little bit, but he's still kind of young. I watched him 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember the year that he actually was a rookie, but Brandon Crawford's been around for a while. Is Brandon Belt still on the team, right? Yeah. Honestly, I've forgotten who's on the Giants sometimes because it's
Kevin Gossman, Buster Posey.
Buster Posey, and he's another one. Buster Posey was so good, and he had that horrible injury. I forgot what year that was, but it was really bad and it was really gruesome. And he ended up coming back and making that and going through all of that, and it's crazy to see just the Giants be this good. And the Giants. My bad. But speaking of in that division, let's talk about the Dodgers because the Dodgers are 49-31. They went 17-9 in June, and do you think that they can catch the Giants? Do you think the Padres are going to be able to catch the Giants? The Padres are 49-33. So
division is just.
Do you think everybody makes the playoffs in that division? Because I feel like they could.
I feel like it's going to be an
AL
from last year.
Because the Cubs are not. I feel like the Cubs won't really do it, and then
Cubs don't have the better record than that whole division.
Well, yeah, and then we talked about with the Nationals, unless they make some type of a run like they did in 2019.
They have to somehow come over the Mets, and the Mets are doing really good
right now. Yeah, and we talked about it. James McCann, we've been talking about it all day. Came over and hung out with my little cousin. We've been talking all day. And James McCann, he has 14 home runs. And what did you say? He was batting 280, right?
250, 260.
So yeah, and
around there.
it's crazy to see the Mets finally come together because they went out and got Lindor, they got Carlos Carrasco, they got a couple, they got a really, they picked up a lot of good pieces in the offseason, and now it's finally coming together. But out of all of the things that are going good in the major leagues, and all the teams and all the players and all the guys, it's almost the All-Star break. We're gonna talk about that. Your boy Tino will be doing an All-Star game preview, home run derby preview, and I'll be giving you my predictions on who's gonna win. But it's almost the end of July, and let's now talk about the teams that are having a really bad June, and maybe they're gonna fall apart. And what? Were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say.
You got something to say?
By the way, I predicted Lindor was gonna get signed and then traded.
You did. I still remember that. We got it on recording. You did say that. I remember we were over here recording. I remember that. I won't forget that. But instead of Rocco letting himself gloat and let him in the spotlight, let's go back to the teams that are struggling and are not having a really good June, and they might be sellers. Let's talk about first in the American League. Let's talk about the Texas Rangers, just because I know we really weren't expecting them to be good. But, I mean, who do you feel like? Do you think they should trade Joey Gallo? Do you think that they should
100%, because now that they have, what's his name? He's the new outfielder for them. He's amazing.
I forget what his name is.
I think it's like.
Let me look.
Hold on. I actually don't know.
Let's look on my
that
phone.
guy, they should really trade him. Not him. Joey Gallo, they should really trade and build around the guy. I forgot his name.
Let's look it
build
up.
around him. Because that guy's young, speed, and power. He's
trying.
everything they would want. He has better stats than
God, we're bad at this,
some
Rocco.
people that are voted in the All-Star.
This guy?
Who?
Isaiah Kinder
No.
Falefa? Or no?
Mm-mm.
Oh, Ethan White?
No.
Eli? No? This is awful.
Adolis Garcia.
Oh, Adolis Garcia. That's who it. Oh my God, that was on the tip of my tongue, guy. We're not doing so good on this. People are gonna be like, you two are awful. We're gonna get bad reviews on this. Hey, you're a part of it too with the baseball. You gotta support. But yeah, he's actually been doing really, really good this season. You're absolutely right. And another guy on the National League side that is having a phenomenal. Never mind. Scratch that, guys. Let's go back to Adolis Garcia. He is having a phenomenal season. He is batting .274. He has 73 hits. He has 55 RBIs and 20 home runs. He's having a phenomenal season right now, and you're absolutely right. He's somebody that they need to build around. And, that's one thing to the point where it's just like, oh, God, do you want to talk about the Baltimore Orioles for a minute? That's another team. We'll talk about the Diamondbacks in a minute. Let's talk about the American League for a second.
Orioles,
but let's talk about, they are 10-17 right now.
Mullins.
Cedric Mullins is a baller, man. I am scared of that guy. He's really, really good.
Trey Mancini's also having a pretty good,
Dude,
decent season.
do you know what happened with Trey Mancini and how he went through cancer and everything like that, and he battled all that? That story that Trey Mancini has went through is amazing. And I don't know if you saw, but he has announced he's going to be in the not in the All-Star game, in the home run derby. So, and he wants it to be a story to show that you can come back from cancer and you could kick cancer's ass. And remember that, and you could beat anything you ever want.
I think that he's gonna. He might not win. Depends who's in the home run derby.
They've announced Shohei, Trey, Pete Alonso from the Mets.
Isn't Vlad gonna be in it?
I don't know if Vlad has announced it yet, but Yerman Mercedes said he wanted to be in it. There was a bunch of other guys that said they wanted to be in it. So, we'll have to see. But, also another team that's done really bad, the New York Yankees. They had a really good game today, but they've won 12-13 in June, and they've fallen all the way to 41-38. Do you see them being able to catch the Tampa Bay Rays they
Still,
got swept by the Boston Red Sox.
I know that sounds bad, but that's still not even a bad record.
I mean, no, and I mean it's not a bad record, but in that but that's the thing. Like us White Sox fans, we just got lucky that we're in a crappy division. Like, let's be real here. Because if we were in the American League East or West, we would probably be in second or third place.
We'd be tied for second place
yeah.
now.
So it's one of those things. We just got lucky in being in that division. But the Yankees, they're not having a very good June. So do you think that they should maybe do that? I know obviously
but the
Yankees.
Is, who could they sell?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing where just I don't know who they could sell, and
they're not going to sell Judge. They're not going to sell any of their infielders.
Well, no, but I mean, I definitely think that they I mean, I don't know.
They need pitching. That's what they need.
Well, yeah. So I mean, and I could see the Yankees going out and getting some pitching, and I cannot wait. It's my favorite time of the year is the trade deadline. It's awesome. It's just one of those things that I've always loved. I love watching.
I keep on seeing is Max Scherzer getting traded to the Cardinals.
Oh my God, that would be dope. That would be interesting. But the Cardinals are a team. Right before the last team I want to talk about in the American League is because it's in our division. So let's talk about the Minnesota Twins, the Kansas City Royals. Let's talk about the Kansas City Royals and the Minnesota Twins because Tigers are having a really good season. They're actually beating the Twins. They won game 1 of a doubleheader, and they're winning right now, 7-1. They're beating the Indians right now, so that's helping us White Sox fans after the White Sox put a spanking on the Minnesota Twins. But the Twins, they're still a scary team. They still can put up power. Do you see them having any shot? Because, Chuck Garfien has talked about it, Jason Benetti has talked about it, and it's like you're scared of the Minnesota Twins. How do you feel? Are you scared of them? I know, they don't got the pitching, but that power, man, scares me. And yes, we won 13-3 today, but that stuff just they can put up numbers.
Their pitching is just not good enough in the bullpen, and just Buxton gone. They need.
Oh, and that poor guy, man. He's been on the injured list 9 times in his career, and he's only been in the MLB since 2012. It's so sad because when he's healthy, he's one of the best players in the game, and he's one of the best center fielders in the game.
He can do it all. He's a 5-tool player.
Yeah, just like Luis Robert. They are great players, and it sucks they are hurt because guys like that are the reason why I love watching baseball because it just sucks. So, in your opinion, do you think that as of right now, what teams would you count out from April and May? And of June, that are just kind of out of it in the American League before we get to the National League.
Detroit, Kansas City, and Minnesota, Orioles.
Well, yeah, obviously, but I'm saying the teams that what teams do you think in the last month have kind of slipped? Because they're it was different a month ago.
This honestly, I think the Mariners, if they have some good opponents come up, I feel like they're gonna slip up a little bit. Same with the Astros. If the Astros start facing hard opponents away too, I don't feel that confident in them winning.
Well, we'll just have to see. We'll have to see what happens at the end of July.
The National League too.
Well, yeah, we're gonna get to the National League, but let's see what in the American League. We'll talk about the American League once we get to the July trade deadline, July 31st, one of the best days of the year in baseball. Everybody's on the move. Make some phone calls, get some people traded. Let's make some blockbuster moves. But like Rocco wants to do, he keeps wanting to get to the National League. So now let's talk about the National League, and let's talk about some teams that are having a horrible month of June. And we talked about it. The Diamondbacks. Do you want to talk about what the poor Diamondbacks have went through in the last month?
23-2 in June.
They didn't go 23 and that.
I mean, 2-23. My
23. If they went 23-2, they would be at the top of the division right now. You mean you got that Oppo? You going Oppo Field? You mean 2-23? Awful. They lost 22 straight road games. That was all, or was it more?
I don't know. It was a lot.
It was a lot of road games, people. It was a lot. And the poor Diamondbacks, they have some really good players. And
Cal Marte is young.
Yeah.
I mean, Eduardo Escobar's a little
Yeah,
old.
well, and he's the guy that they were talking about trading. The Sox, for some reason, the White Sox want him. I'd rather get Adam Frazier, in my opinion. But that's another team, the Pittsburgh Pirates. With the White Sox faced them last week, and the Pittsburgh was able to get away with one win. I feel like that was a lot because of Adam Frazier, and that pitcher did really good in that one game. But they went 9-17, and they honestly have fallen. And they have talked about it, and I've talked about it with some of my friends. I feel like this is the time where they need to move on from Adam Frazier. And if it isn't to the White Sox, they can trade him to the Yankees and get some young pieces, because that's what they need to do. And they need to get back to the point where they used to be good with, like, Andrew McCutchen, when they had Garrett Cole, when they had all those guys.
Quinn Priester coming up soon.
And that's what I'm saying, is they have some good pieces, but if you can use an Adam Frazier, or is it Mark Reynolds, right? Mark Reynolds?
Brian Hayes.
No, Brian Hayes is the guy you build around. He's a rookie.
Yeah, I know.
So, no, but I'm saying guys that they should trade.
Oh.
Like Adam Frazier. That's what I'm saying. That they need to trade these guys to get pieces to put around Brian Hayes and stuff like that, because I feel like that would be really good. And like I keep saying, another team in the American League Central is the Cincinnati Reds. They're a team that Nick Castellanos should go. Joey Votto, as much as I love Joey Votto, but I think he needs to be on a team that's winning. He's been on the Reds for so long that it's like he doesn't even know what the playoffs feels like. Imagine him in October. That'd be deadly for a team.
Joey Votto's a little old, though.
I mean, yeah, but put him at DH on the Yankees. He's gonna be golden. Come on.
Yankees.
Oh, I mean, come on. Hey. And this one I don't want to talk in the National League Central. We talked about how the Brewers have a 6-game lead over the Cubs. The Cubs have lost 6-7 in a row now. They're losing Anthony Rizzo. Chris Bryant's hurt, like we talked about. Oh God! But the Sox have built an injury home. Everybody's on the injured list.
Cubbies can start coming over.
Literally, but the Cubs have fallen all the way to 6 games out of first place, and they're a team that I think that they need to sell too, because they could get something good for Bryant. I think that you should definitely keep. I would keep Contreras, and Baez would be the 2 guys I would keep. I would get rid of Bryant and Rizzo. Because
They got really lucky with that trading Bryant last year to the Braves, because now Austin Riley's breaking out.
Well, yeah, and Austin Riley's a great guy, and he's been phenomenal, and I've loved him since he came into the league. Like, I'm so happy that, like, I just love watching these young players.
That need him, like the Mets. What other teams? I don't know.
I feel like even like the Giants, like as good as they are, every team could be good and everybody could still add.
Like even like
as many injuries have happened throughout the season
like
so far.
Shortstop or second base for some teams that may need it, like the Yankees.
I mean, exactly, and that's
Boston even.
Well, and that's the thing where just like there are so many things, and we still have, like I said, we have 5 weeks until the trade deadline. So there are so many things that could happen and so many things that could change until that time, that it will be insane. That we'll have to talk about it when we get to the end of July and see where teams are at, because once I feel like after the All-Star break and after like that weekend back, I feel like that's when teams are gonna start like being like, okay, are we selling or are we buying? Because teams could go on an 8-game win streak and be right back in it. You never know. You never know. Hey, I mean, I want August. As much as I don't like time going by fast. I want us to come back. We've heard good news as White Sox fans. Eloy and Robert are healing, and there might be 4 to 6 weeks away from baseball activity. So I'll take it all day long. But after talking about all of the good things, all of the bad teams, all of the good and bad teams going on in the season in June and everything going on, let's talk about some of the top moments. And it's one of those things that we've talked about it a lot in some of the shows. These no-hitters are starting to become ridiculous. The Cubs combined for a no-hitter, and did you know that Craig Kimbrell didn't even know they had a no-hitter?
I knew that. Also, a few days ago, German Marquez almost just got another no-hitter.
Well, that
against
was
the Pirates.
what it was 3. I think he was 3 outs away from getting one.
Yeah, and then the first leadoff hitter, I think it was Adam Frazier.
Adam Frazier. Well, Adam Frazier, man, he is a dog, and that's like we just talked about. He is one of those. He's one of those players that can literally change your franchise.
And no one's been talking about the Brian Hayes play. He made it third.
Oh my God.
The whole cross-body 3-pointer shot to first baseman.
Exactly. It's just insane. And we also talked about it. We mentioned it. Another big thing that happened: the Diamondbacks that could not seem to win a game at all, or on the road, or at home, or anything. We saw Billy Hamilton before he went on the disabled list, like every other White Sox injured outfielder does, go on the injured list. That's what I'm saying. The beginning of June, he hit that inside the Parker, and you remember. And then I think that was the game he got hurt because it was
a game after, I think.
Well, yeah, but I mean, yeah. So, but I mean, still, there were so many good and top moments that happened in June. And it's so crazy that we've already went through 3 months of the baseball season, and we're 80 plus games in now, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. There are so many things that are gonna happen in the next 4 weeks, to the point where you don't know what's gonna happen. And as it sits right now, and after we talked about all the moments that happened and all of everything that has went on in the baseball season, what are your 3 bold predictions for July or for June, or that? What are your predictions for July that we're going to be talking about at the end when we get there? What do you think's going to happen? Do you think teams are going to fall? Are we going to see somebody go on a Diamondbacks run and not win a road game?
I feel like some teams are going to go on big losing streaks. You know, some like maybe What's the third place team? Toronto, yeah.
Toronto.
I feel like Toronto can go on.
Well, and Toronto's the team we really didn't mention too much. Like you mentioned, Vlad Guerrero. They have Bo Bichette. They have so many good players that
pitching.
Well, yeah, and that's always been Toronto's problem.
The other thing is Toronto. I feel like are going to be buyers at the trade deadline. Are going to buy pitching.
Well, they have to. If they want to compete, they have the hitting. They have so many good hitting to the point where, if they could go out and get some pitching. If they had the White Sox rotation, or if they had one of the best rotations in baseball, to the point where these guys could compete and help, especially in that stadium, because the Blue Jays stadium, it's small, and especially because they're not playing in Toronto, they're playing in they're still in Buffalo, aren't they?
Yeah, they're in Buffalo.
Yeah, and hopefully, because COVID restrictions have kind of loosened and everything's kind of getting back to normal, hopefully they can get back to Toronto, because that would be really good, and we'll have to see. But that's one of those things, I know I keep asking Rocco so many questions, and I'm trying to get all of his input, but one of the things that I think is going to happen, that we are going to see in July, and I'm going to say it, and I don't know why, I just have a feeling. I want to make sure I get this right. Let me look at it. Let me just make sure. I just have a feeling, I don't know why, but we talked about it a lot today. The Atlanta Braves, I feel like, are going to have a really good July, and they're going to be the team that is going to compete with the Mets. I don't know why, I just feel like you talked about, they have a Curry's selves, they have Alex Riley, they have right?
Yeah.
Right. Oh my God, guys, I'm losing it today. Anyway, but I think the Braves are a team that everybody needs to watch out for in July, and they are a team that they could add a couple pieces in the trade deadline. I think they can compete with the Mets.
Who was that pitcher that tore his Achilles again? That could be career-ending.
Mike
Soroka?
Yeah.
Soroka, I mean.
Well, and when that was the thing, he was such a great pitcher, and that's a great point there, where they could go out. They need to find somebody to replace him, to the point where you could go out and get somebody from the Rangers, or you can go get somebody from the Marlins. The Marlins are a team that needs to rebuild. The Marlins, they made the playoffs last year.
The Phillies, they're only 37-41. They could make a big comeback.
I mean, well, and that's the thing.
Zach Wheeler going crazy. Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper made the worst decision of his life. Let's be real here. I mean, come on.
And as long as their whole team just comes together, they can.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I know, like, we're White Sox fans, and I never want to be biased on this show, but we've seen how much depth the White Sox have. They're getting productions from Andrew Vaughn. They're getting production from Gavin Sheets. They're getting, well, exactly. Yasmani hit 2 home runs tonight, and these things are going flying. And the White Sox almost broke tied a franchise record for 7 home runs tonight. But they're getting production from guys that you wouldn't even know of. They're missing their outfield, and at one point they were missing Abreu because Abreu got hit in the knee by a 96-mile-per-hour fastball. And it's like they're just, oh my God, yeah, they're just trying to take him out, and I just don't understand why. But it's just one of those things. It's just like if you get productions from these guys, you never know what can happen. And it is always the teams I've noticed throughout the years. It is always teams that have these guys that come out of nowhere. Like, I don't know if you remember, you were probably still too young, but when David Freese came out, I think it was 2009, and he was on the Cardinals, he helped them win the World Series, and he was the MVP that year in the World Series and in the playoffs. And he literally was having the type of year that Daniel Murphy had for the Mets that one year when he was hitting bombs left and right versus the Cubs. It was that same type of season. It's just like Daniel Murphy was a guy nobody really knew of. So it's just gonna be so much fun to watch. And I just love baseball, and it's summertime, and I just cannot wait. So I hope everybody enjoyed it. What are you doing yawning, guy? I stayed up. I came over to hang out. We're recording. We're having a good time. Come on, what are you doing? Oh, you tired? I thought you were pulling all-nighters. This kid says he stays up all night, people, and we're going to stay up all night. And he's all ready to go to bed.
Well, you made me. I didn't get enough sleep tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had you wake up at 9 o'clock. I am so sorry. My bad.
I usually sleep till 12.
Well, maybe it's time to get your butt up and not maybe because when your mom watches this, what are you gonna tell her when she finds out you've been sleeping till noon every day?
She already knows.
You're funny. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed the show. I hope everybody enjoyed all of mine and Rocco's knowledge for the baseball season. Everything that has been going on in June is crazy between the foreign substance between it's a sticky situation in the MLB right now. Between the Diamondbacks going on horrible losing streaks, between teams going up and down, between these injuries, everybody's having an injury every day. Between we did have a couple things go down, but we'll have to find out and wait until
Josh Donaldson.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that too much, but Josh Donaldson went in on Giolito. They even met in the parking lot after the Sox game, and they were ready to fight. Were you gonna fight in the parking lot like 10-year-olds or?
And Josh Donaldson saying, I honestly believe what he's saying. Your RPM is down 200 for your fastball, curveball's down 300. This proves that pitchers were using Forbes census. Everybody, almost 95% of pitchers in baseball right now, RPMs have gone down 200 or 100.
Well, yeah.
Since MLB has announced it.
Well, yeah, and that's like something like we'll have to see what happens in the next upcoming month and see how much more it affects.
And that's why today so many runs were scored because pitchers are.
We were watching. It wasn't baseball. It was football. Let's be real here. I've never seen so many runs scored in a day in my life, and I've been alive for 25 years. Like, it's ridiculous. But before we continue, and we don't want to talk about the sticky situation because me and Rocco could go on for hours, but you don't want to listen to us talk for on and on for hours. So, again, I hope everybody enjoyed the show. I hope everybody listens. Remember, smash that subscribe button. Help your boy out. Hit that follow button. Go follow me. I know I don't got my logo behind me. I miss my basement, and I miss my room, and I miss my little setup I got. But I'll be back there for NXT, a Great American Bash on Tinos Time Wrestling. So I hope everybody has a good July. I hope everybody has a safe and happy 4th of July. Don't blow off too many fireworks. Let's see all these teams hit a bunch of home runs in July, and until we get to the All-Star break and your boy Tino does the All-Star game preview and a home run derby preview, and I let you know what's going to go down on All-Star Weekend. And, got to talk about the All-Star Game. So until then, till about July, what is it? I think it's July 14th the All-Star Game is?
Yeah.
Until July 14th, this is your boy Tino and Rocco signing out.
Subscribe.
Subscribe.